Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com, website, trenton365.com, and the Facebook page, Trenton 365 Show. You can also go to the Trenton 365 community calendar page on Facebook and share your events there as well, and they'll get distributed throughout the networks. So the fall is coming, and folks, most of you know that is one of my favorite times of the year, and I generally like to start some new initiatives. One of them I've been teasing folks about is Take My Tour of Trenton, where I'm going to be organizing lots of small groups and get-togethers from various different people, a very diverse and eclectic group of people, and we're going to be taking tours of Trenton, taking a look at some of the historical things, and I'll be introducing you to some of the small businesses, organizations, and people in the city of Trenton, New Jersey's capital city, where I call home, and with the hopes that we can build a better community for everyone by doing that. You are listening and watching every Tuesday night. I'm here, WIMG1300.com is the website, and the Facebook page is WIMG1300 as well. So part of this program is about building a better community for everyone through civic engagement and encouraging civic engagement. And one of the people I have on the show tonight is Rachel Cogsville Latimer. And Rachel I've known for several years. Rachel is a Trentonian, and she's currently leading the Trenton Council of Civic Associations organization, which is the gathering place for all of the civic associations in Trenton. We'll get into the details about how many there are, where they operate, and the forthcoming event, which I'll show the people who are watching over WPHY Channel 25, United We Ball, which is an annual event that takes place, and we're going to get into all the details about that. But without any further ado, Rachel Cogsville Latimer, welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. How are you?
Hi, Jacque. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So you are quite busy, and we're not going to talk about your professional career in this segment.
Thank you.
We'll just focus on the Trenton Council of Civic Associations and your event, United We Ball, which is coming up. But can you share a little bit about how active you are in the city of Trenton?
So, not only am I president of Trenton Council of Civic Association, this is my second term as president. It's a yearly term. Previous to that, I was the first vice president of TCCA. I'm also involved with the West CPAC, which is the Community Police Advisory. And I'm also the president of the Catwater Place Civic Association, and I try to help in all areas. I'm also a board member for R.E.A.C.H. So, and I'm a previous recipient of the Citizens Campaign Legislator of the Year.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see, folks, that's one of the reasons why Rachel is here. She's very active. She's living out that purpose of being civically engaged in her community to make her community better, not only through the organization R.E.A.C.H., but also her neighborhood association, also known as the Civic Association Catwater Place, and then also with the West Ward CPAC, which is merging together the police or should we say public safety, along with the general populace of the West Ward of the city of Trenton, talking about different things, staying engaged, the police obviously share information, etc. through those meetings. What makes you want to be so involved in the process of civic engagement or the community?
So I came back to Trenton in '96. I was gone for about 9 years. I went to school at Norfolk State, and then I became a correction officer for the state in a men's prison. Retired from that field. So when I came back to Trenton, my direct neighborhood, I didn't see where it was when I left. When I left, it was homes that were lived in. When I came back in '96, it was a plentiful of abandoned homes. There was a lot of things that needed the sleeves to be rolled up, if you will. Mm-hmm. So when I returned home, after I got myself together, physically speaking, that's when I started to go to City Hall quite often. I would go to City Hall about 4 times a week for a few years, just to talk to the inspections department, get on them about the conditions of my neighborhood, which is the Carteret Avenue, Edgewood, Parkside area. From that, by me just going back and forth and having meetings with other various community-involved people and HUD and community affairs, we were gracious enough to get a grant for my direct area. So that's how it all begun, by me just not able to accept what my neighborhood was.
Now, when you say accept what your neighborhood was it the traditional issues that happen in post-industrial cities like Trenton, where there's abandoned properties, some vacant issues,
Unkept
drill
areas,
cell? Okay.
safety concerns, things of that nature. Sidewalks that are broken up, curbs that need to be done, just a whole plethora of things that was going on. So the grant that we had received, it took a few years, but the grant we received was over $2 million. And so the homes, the target homes that were the most unkept and falling down, they rehabbed, and now they're all being occupied. So now we have sidewalks that were no longer cracked. We have a 2-block radius of sidewalks. We have new street lights that are in a style of teardrop. So that's how it all started, by trying to build the neighborhood up and bringing life back into the neighbors, and having people to say, this is my home and this is where we belong.
Mm-hmm. Now, why did you choose that particular neighborhood? You said that you were away for 9 years. You had a good career as a corrections officer, and most people understand that that's a good, very good, potential livable income, etc. You have a college degree. What made you come back to Trenton?
Why not? So, some people will go ahead and live their life and move on to a new chapter. I choose to live my chapter in the place where it birthed me, where it raised me, and where I can bring my love back. And any time I can try to help any resident, any neighborhood, that is my focus. My focus is to build the community, for the city administration to listen to the community, and so that we can build one another up in a peaceful manner.
So I like how you put that. Why not come back to the city that birthed you? And obviously you're a prime example of that, because you're actively involved in building the neighborhood where you live, but also reaching out citywide. Leading organizations, serving on boards of nonprofits that have been recognized in the city for decades. And you've got your fingerprints on some different things that you can look back on and say, look at what we've done. I'd like to have you tell me a bit more about the grant that you received for your neighborhood and what that process was like. What were some of the steps that you took to get the ball rolling? $2 million is a lot of money for something of that magnitude, especially someone who wasn't actively involved in nonprofits at the time. But can you just share a little bit about how that process worked for you?
To be honest with you, Jacque, I didn't know what I was doing regarding to this grant that was in the future. I had no idea about it. All I knew is I saw a neighborhood that was dilapidated. I saw a neighborhood that needed love to be brought back in. So what my focus was go to City Hall, go to the inspections department. And when I say I went there, almost, some people would ask me, am I taking office at City Hall? It's gotten to the point, sometimes I don't even I just go to every single floor. And by the time I leave my footprint. I get to the point where some of the secretaries say, okay, what is it today? And I tell them what the issue is, and then I tell them I will be back on this day, and I need an answer. If I don't get an answer, then I'm at city council. That's how it works. If you don't allow your voice to be heard, then what is the point?
You know, folks, I think that's a prime example about how civic engagement works. we are not living in an era anymore where we can look to the municipality to do everything for us, to actively have people on the streets checking for lights to be on, checking for potholes, checking for curb cuts, checking for overgrown trees, making sure that all the houses have functioning doors and windows aren't broken, and that buildings that are vacant are sealed up properly. Those days are gone. We need to take an active response to notifying the proper people, proper departments for what is wrong or what we consider to be an issue, and then to hold them accountable. And I'm not a big fan of yelling and screaming and pointing a finger and blaming particular individuals. That's not what this is about.
Right.
This is about uplifting a neighborhood, a block, a community, a city, a county, a region, a state. And we have the power to do that if we can all get on this same train, basically, of being involved in the process. And I'm glad that you're a shining example of that. I've even seen, and we'll get into the leadership of TCCA, but even in TCCA, when I would go to the meetings many years ago, it had seemed that the organization it needed some bookends, some more things to be organized in a particular way. And now I can actually see that. With events like the annual United We Ball event, which is coming up on Saturday, August 26th at Cadwallader Park. So we're going to talk about all those details, but I want people to understand that what you're doing, what I'm doing, and what many, many other people in Trenton and other cities across the country are doing is they're actively involved in saying, hey, this is not right. And I know it's not right because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. When I was a child, this isn't what we did. And they're just taking simple, small steps, contact the proper people, hold them accountable, and live out that life. So you are a citizen leader. So publicly, kudos to you again.
Thank you, Jacque.
You're welcome. So when you were going through this process of going to City Hall, obviously you weren't doing it just on what you felt yourself. I'm sure some of your neighbors were sharing some of their thoughts and concerns as well.
Yes. I grew up on Carteret. Been here since 1968. So I know the ins and outs of that whole neighborhood. I've been in most of the homes in that neighborhood. So when I returned home, I was raised in a home that is a civically involved home, very grassroots. My mother is the one who challenged Murphy back in the 70s to have women on the police force. And how that came about is my mother said to him, well, if I win the physical part of the police academy, just going through the obstacle course, then you have to allow women on the force. If you win, sir, then I won't come back to your office and I won't bother you anymore. Well, we have women on the force. So I guess we know. And Lieutenant Murphy, who's on the force now, I'm speaking of his father. Okay? So that's the kind of home I was raised in. I was also raised in a home where my father was the head of UPI, United Progress Incorporated, which is a community-based agency. My mother, she was involved with Planned Parenthood. The last years of her life, she volunteered full-time at Planned Parenthood. She was an employee, and because they were struggling financially, she said, I'm still going to work full-time. I will be here 9 to 5 every single day, and she did it for about, I think, maybe 6 years of her life before she passed from breast cancer, and she did it volunteer. So that's the kind of roots that I come from. I don't know any other way but to live in those kind of footsteps.
Fantastic. Rachel Cogsville Latimer is my guest. She is representing the Trenton Council Civic Association, but civic engagement in general. And we're going to be talking for the rest of the hour. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, and I'm your host, Jacque Howard. Levitt Trenton Summer Concert Series. 10 free concerts every Thursday from June 29th through August 31st from 5 to 8 p.m. in Mill Hill Park, Trenton, New Jersey. Free parking, free to attend, food vendors. More information is available on the website levittamp.org/Trenton.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter @Trenton365. In the studio with me is Rachel Cogsville Latimer, who is a Trentonian, and she is currently the president in the second term of a one-year term, her second term of the Trenton Council of Civic Associations, which is the gathering space for all of the civic associations based in the city of Trenton. And in this segment, we're going to get into some more details about that. Just prior to the break, we've been talking about why Rachel came back to Trenton after going to college at Norfolk State University. She took a career position with the Corrections Department and retired from there. She is in the neighborhood of Carteret, Edgewood, and Parkside here in Trenton, New Jersey, and she was actively involved in her community. One of the things that she mentioned was that the neighborhood had changed in a negative way when she moved, and when she came back, she said that she grew up in a household where her parents were actively involved as well in nonprofit organizations, and that she knew that she had to do something about it. So she got involved in that, and she secured, I'm sure through the help of some other moving parts, some other entities, and definitely the neighbors, secured a $2 million grant to do some improvements in the neighborhood that included some beautification projects. I'm sure it had to do with housing, lighting, etc. And now she's morphed into serving on boards such as the Isles organization. She is the president of her local civic association, the Cadwallader Place. And she's also involved with the West Ward CPAC, which is an organization where the law enforcement or safety, we'll say, in Trenton, New Jersey, in the 4 different wards, have an organization where they meet with residents on a regular basis to discuss different things and to work on dialogue between residents and the law enforcement and other public works entities. So, Rachel, before you were talking about the process, like you secured the grant, but the house that you grew up in, your mom and your dad were very involved in what was happening in the city of Trenton from a citizen standpoint, that your mother had challenged the police department to make sure that women had a chance to actually join the force. Mm-hmm. That was one thing. You said your father was, he was part of the UPI, United Progress Incorporated. Mm-hmm. So all those things helped to develop or lay this foundation for you to be civically involved. Mm-hmm. And then when you went to college and you came back, you said, hey, look, this is not the neighborhood that I remember. Mm-hmm. And you said, I'm going to do something about it. You made it very clear that you would go down to City Hall on a regular basis, mm-hmm. sometimes 4 days a week, to go to different departments, share your concerns, and most importantly, hold those people accountable who you spoke to. When you first started to do that, what was the initial attitude, or were you confronted? Were the people in City Hall in the different departments receptive to what you were doing?
First off, I was gone for 9 years. So you return back, and you go to certain departments, and you don't know some of the employees that work there. So now you have to build a relationship. So we start to build a relationship, and that's when it took me serious by me keep coming back. Some days I would say, hey, how you doing? And other days there would be different words, a different form of greeting. But they understood where it was all out of love. It was all out of dedication, and it was all out of, here's the problem, now let's come up with a solution. Okay, so from that solution, I said we need to do a walkthrough of the neighborhood. So in 2000, I started a neighborhood walkthrough with the inspections department. And I still do it. I do it annually. And I have my forms, and on the forms it has different checkoff boxes, whether it's a light pole, the light is out from the street light. If a home needs to be painted, if there's overgrowth, whatever the issue may be, okay? If the abandoned building, if the boarded up doors has been taken off, and now we have people just sleeping inside the abandoned homes, whatever it may be. So from that, we would do the annual walkthroughs. From the annual walkthroughs, then they figured out, okay, this girl is serious about her neighborhood. And from there, it just came about respect about you, what you do, and what I do, and where we came into a happy medium of you may work for the city, you live in the city, now I need you to take pride in the city. And that's how it all came about. So I'm happy that where I live is a gateway, because it's right across the street from Calwater Park, is off of Route 29. So I believe that's one of the reasons of us getting that grant, because we are in the gateway area. And I can't thank the city enough, Mayor Doug Palmer, for targeting that area. I had no idea that while I'm on the second floor, just letting them know all the issues in the inspections department, the housing economic department on the third floor is saying, okay, we need to think of an area that could use some, and so somehow my voice got heard, and that's how it came about.
That's great. And again, so it goes back to just the simple idea of speaking up about something, and speaking up, and not in a way where you're yelling and screaming, but sometimes you've got to stand firm because there may be pushback.
Fair but firm.
Yes, fair but firm. There you go. And also being able to retrench. If this particular method isn't working, then how can I do this in another way? But being consistent, and it's worked out well for you. So kudos and congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're going to be coming up on a break shortly. But before we do that, I want to at least get the conversation turned towards Trenton Council of Civic Associations.
Yes.
Can you share what TCCA is?
Trenton Council Civic Association, we are a nonprofit organization where we're about improving the neighborhoods. We're about the liaison between the community and the administration, City Hall, if you will. What we try to do is if there's concerns, we try to address the concerns. Along with the concern, there has to be a solution. So we sit down and we figure out what we can do to help a neighborhood. How can we better a neighborhood? We go to City Hall, we voice concerns about what's going on in various of neighborhoods. Unfortunately, you may have some residents who are skeptical about going to City Hall and voicing. So that's where we come in. Sometimes we have to be a voice.
So to join the Trenton Council of Civic Associations, you have to be an organization or at least a representative of the City of Trenton?
So within the City of Trenton, in each neighborhood, there's most neighborhoods, there's a civic association, okay? Within that civic association, you will have either the president or a delegate to come to the Trenton Council Civic Association's meetings. We meet every second Thursday at 7 o'clock, Thomas Edison State University, which is on West State Street. And there is a yearly annual membership fee, which is $25, okay? And that's where anything that is happening within the city of Trenton, any kind of community events, any kind of concerns, any kind of issues, any kind of solutions, that's where we all come together and we speak about it.
Now, the meeting's at 7 p.m., the second Thursday of every month at the Thomas Edison State University.
Yes.
During those meetings, approximately how long are they? How well attended are they, et cetera?
The meetings generally last about an hour to an hour and a half, okay? So within TCCA, we have, last count, I believe, 24 to 25 civic association. So let me give an example of a civic association, the size of a civic association. In my civic association, I have around 176 homes. That's one civic association, which is Calwater Place. Hiltonia is larger than what we have because they have more homes. So that's the kind of magnitude we have. So we try to have a delegate or a president from each civic association to come. Okay?
And during these meetings, is it a follow-up of the previous month? Are there actual structure of actions that are going to take place? Or is this more of a reporting opportunity for people from the local neighborhoods?
We have a structure.
Okay.
We have a structure. We have an agenda. We have minutes. We have treasurer reports. We have first vice president report. We have second vice president report. We have corresponding secretary. We have a recording secretary. So we do have officers. We have 6 officers, which includes the president. So, and what I do is, yes, I might be the president only because, they asked me to or got voted in, but I don't move without the approval of everyone within TCCA. We are one body, we are uniform, and I speak as just as one whole, not as I'm the president and this is what we're going to be doing. And yes, in every organization you may have a disagreement, okay, and I'm happy to report within TCCA it's not too often. Okay. However, the disagreement is we have a great, diverse conversation, and then from that point, everything. And there's no arguments. We just talk about different ideas, different ways, and then we put everything together so that we can go ahead and try to come up with a solution.
Great. And how can people find out more about TCCA website, social media, etc.?
TCCA-Trenton.org.
Okay, great. And so I'm speaking with Rachel Cogsville Latimer, and we've been talking about Trenton Council Civic Association, basically civic engagement and being involved in building a better community for everyone. We've got a lot more information to get into, and specifically we're going to be getting into the annual event. And for those of you who are watching on television, you'll see this beautiful poster, United We Ball, which is presented by the Trenton Council of Civic Associations, TCCA, in collaboration with Fathers and Men United for a Better Trenton. These sporting events will include softball, basketball, kickball, tennis, and soccer. This is going to be happening on Saturday, August 26th, 2017 in Cadwallader Park, the historic Cadwallader Park, which is on the National Registry, one of 2 parks designed by the father of landscape architecture, Olmsted. So we'll be back after a short break. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
McDonald's is taking it up with their new signature sriracha sandwich, topped with crispy onions, fresh baby spinach, and kale. So I'm taking my voice up with an exclusive sriracha mac sauce with just the right amount of spice, maybe a little more. Now enjoy the same sriracha mac sauce with your McNuggets. Get a 20-piece McNuggets and sriracha mac sauce dipping sauce for only $5. But hurry, it's only for a limited time. Limited time offer at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Right now, get any small McDonald's smoothie, frappe, or shake for $2. I mean, how do you top a delectably luscious, crave-inducing, gimme now so I stop melting deal like that? Oh yes, of course. Whipped topping. That's how. So hurry in. Only at McDonald's.
Enjoy a small McCafe smoothie, frappe, or shake for $2. And for a limited time, try a refreshingly sweet peach smoothie. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
U.S. Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie. This is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Facebook. My name is spelled Jacque, last name Howard, traditional spelling. You can go there or to the